The reason for this gathering this morning is because of vaccines, COVID-19 vaccines, and I'm going to read. NAFDAC is announcing the approval of Moderna and Astrazeneca vaccines and the approval of Sputnik V vaccine. The NAFDAC Vaccine Committee has been carefully assessing vaccines despite the fact that the vaccines have been approved by stringent regulatory countries or have received WHO's emergency use listing. A COVID-19 vaccine that has gone through prior approval from either of these two sources had gone through quality, safety, and efficacy evaluation, which is a prerequisite for acceptance by COVAX facility. More regulatory agencies across the world use this mechanism to expedite their own regulatory approval, either to import and administer COVID-19 vaccines. NAFDAC spends at least 15 days to thoroughly examine the dossier or the submission package of each vaccine to ensure that the benefits of the vaccine far outweigh the risks and any side effects are well noted for monitoring after vaccination by respective NAFDAC and primary health officers. The emergency use listing will allow Nigeria to receive supplies of the vaccine from the COVAX facility. COVAX facility is the agglomeration or vaccine pillar for accessing COVID-19 vaccines, and it is made up by Gavi, which is Global Alliance for Vaccine and Immunization, by Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, CEPI, and by WHO. Its aim is to accelerate the development and manufacture of COVID-19 vaccines and to guarantee fair and equitable access to low-middle income countries, of which Nigeria is one. NAFDAC also gives full reviews, aside from the expedited, the 15 days, gives full reviews for vaccines that have not gone through the EUL route, meaning WHO route. This mechanism is explained in our guidance that was developed by the COVID-19 Vaccine Committee. NAFDAC is the first national regulatory agency in Africa to have this guidance on regulatory preparedness for emergency use authorization. For emergency use authorization, licensing, or access to the vaccines, and we have a link on our website. The guidance addressed many regulatory issues, including the following: submission of dossiers by manufacturers and market authorization holders. For COVID-19 vaccines, we are getting that through WHO. It is unusual to get dossiers from WHO. Usually, the manufacturers come to us. Our first approval, which was AstraZeneca India, we got directly from the manufacturer. But other vaccines since then, or dossiers, other vaccines since then, we've been getting through WHO. So the guidance addresses these issues. It also addresses assessment of dossier through different mechanisms and using the common technical document. Common technical document is like the template for submission of any registration document. And for assessment of doses, we can use different routes: emergency use authorization, using emergency use listing by WHO. If it is coming from stringent regulatory countries, we use emergency use authorization, expedited approval. We also use full review. I just mentioned that we do that. And then after the vaccine is in the country, we do post-marketing pharmacovigilance and surveillance. Post-marketing pharmacovigilance and surveillance is one of the core regulatory activities of NAFDAC. So we take that very, very seriously. And we have done that for the first rollout of the Astrazeneca from India. Moderna and Astrazeneca that we are approving now, the Astrazeneca we are approving now is from Korea, because India has stopped sending anything out because they need it for their people. These two vaccines have received WHO emergency use listing and were given expedited approvals. Sputnik V is yet to receive the emergency use listing approval, and therefore we subjected it to full 6 months review by NAFDAC. The agency was granted access to the dossiers and prior assessment reports of Moderna and AstraZeneca from the WHO website at different times during these past few months. So we got the link and then downloaded the dossiers for Moderna and for AstraZeneca Korea. What is Moderna vaccine? Moderna vaccine is mRNA vaccine. There are different types of platform on which the vaccines are built. The product is presented as a white to off-white, ready-to-use dispersion or suspension for intramuscular injection in a multi-dose vial containing 10 doses. Each dose, which is about 0.5 ml, contains 100 micrograms of the active ingredient, which is the messenger RNA. It is a 2-dose vaccine, just like the AstraZeneca that we just finished receiving in Nigeria, AstraZeneca India that we just finished receiving. Unopened vaccine vials can be stored and or transported frozen at -25 to -15 degrees centigrade, freezer temperature, for up to 7 months and 30 days when stored between 2 and -8 degrees centigrade, and it should be protected from light. The second vaccine, AstraZeneca vaccine, this is from Korea, is a recombinant adenoviral adenoviral vector vaccine encoded in the structural surface of a glycoprotein. That's all details. And it is from Korea. The AstraZeneca vaccine solution is colorless to slightly brown, clear to slightly opaque, packed as a 5 ml solution, and it contains, again, the active ingredient. I will not go into that. The Sputnik V vaccine is called GAM-COVID. It's supplied as a 2-component. By the way, the AstraZeneca vaccine from Korea is also a 2-dose vaccine. Now, the Sputnik V vaccine is supplied as a 2-component product also, both of which are 3 ml 5 doses per bottle for intramuscular injection. I will not go into the details. It's in the write-up of the active ingredient because it's all technical or biotechnical information. The product has a shelf life of 6 months, that is Sputnik V, when stored at minus 18 degrees centigrade for 3 months. Excuse me. The product has a shelf life of 6 months when stored at minus 18 degrees centigrade, or 3 months when stored at 2 to minus 8 degrees centigrade. The agency did a thorough assessment for each vaccine and were found to have the quality, safety, and efficacy attributes, with the benefits far outweighing the risks. I mentioned the importance of pharmacovigilance to all that we do in NAFDAC. Pharmacovigilance and Post-Marketing Directorate will conduct safety and monitoring studies, further safety and monitoring studies. All these have been done by the manufacturers, but they did it in an environment that may not be exactly like ours. So we will conduct safety and monitoring studies on the vaccines to record the side effects and adverse events following immunization. Other studies like immunological responses, incidences of reactogenicity, and possible dose optimization will be done in a cohort of vaccinees. The agency will be using its recently launched MedSafety app for active pharmacovigilance of the vaccines in collaboration with respective sister agencies. The app, MedSafety app, is free, and millions of healthcare workers can download it free for adverse drug reaction reporting. This app is not just for vaccines. It's for any medication that you use. If you feel that that medication has some side effect, you can put your name, initial, on that app, and we will get it. That is the way it has been set up. NAFDAC has begun in-country training, or continues rather, in-country training on the use of the app for healthcare workers. NAFDAC also plans to use the traceability with GS1 technology to monitor the vaccine distribution using Global Trade Item Number, GTIN, to know which vaccines are coming in and which vaccines are being distributed. This is to prevent fake vaccines from infiltrating the supply chain and to ensure there is no diversion. NAFDAC is the only regulatory agency in Africa, possibly in the world, but in Africa, to have used track and trace or traceability to monitor the COVID-19 vaccine that we just finished, the Astrazeneca India vaccine. This effort will create a reliable, or the continuation of this effort for other vaccines, will create a reliable and predictable supply chain and keep Nigerians safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.